Are we live? Can you see me? Yes? The software is acting a little nutty, so confirm that you can see me, that you can hear me. Light up the chat. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Good evening. And welcome to the Sex and Depression live stream. This is a subject that I have been wanting to cover for a while now. And let me just get my situation situated and we should be good to go. All right, there we go. We are here. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome. So excited that you were able to join me. Last minute, I had a opening and thought that this is a subject that's close to my heart, and I have wanted to come on and talk about it for a while. So we are going to just barely scratch the surface. This is a very big subject: sex and depression, mental health and sex. Huge subject, and the first and most important thing that I just want to get out of the way is a disclaimer. I am not a mental health professional. I am not a health provider. I'm not even a mental health expert. I don't claim to be. I'm a coach, not a therapist. Don't have a licensure. I can't diagnose, treat, or speak about depression or medications. I'm not a doctor. So, thank you, person who said I was sexy. Sexy, but not a doctor. I just don't even play one on TV. So now that we've got that out of the way, I'm going to talk to you about my personal experience with sex and depression, which I've never spoken about before. So I'll appreciate your kindness, your love, your likes, your sweetness and gentleness in the chat. And thank you everyone who's new to my channel. If you're new to my channel, please comment in the chat and say hi. Hey friends. Hi Bryce. Hi Andy, Frederick, Christopher, Fab, Crags, Andrew. Um, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my experience with sex and depression. I'm going to talk about some of the most common experiences for both men and women and the partners of people who have depression. So you might be on here because you have experienced some sort of depression or downness or sadness, but maybe it's not you. Maybe it's actually your spouse. Maybe you're on here because your wife is going through a deep, dark time, and you want some support with that. Here's the other piece. As of recording this, it's November. Seasonal depression, the holidays are coming up. It's been a weird, crazy, messed up year for all of us. I think we can agree. Hi, everyone. Yes, first live stream. Hell yes. Tell me where you're from. I love, 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 love that you're here. Welcome. I had a fantastic birthday. Thank you, Bill. Yeah, and so if this is your first live stream, please do light up the chat. I do my best to monitor the chat and answer your questions and try to deliver some useful information as well. Sometimes my brain goes off in two directions, trying to manage it all. I do have my lovely assistant Tyler helping me out tonight, and I appreciate you all sending me your questions. And I will definitely let you know when the best time to ask questions is. So if you have some questions and you want to hang on to them until then, that's great. There will be definitely a time where we can answer some of your questions. For those of you who I see a lot of people asking about working with me or working with my team, we'll learn this lesson, Caitlin. It's backwards. CaitlinVneal.com/apply will take you to my coaching application if you want to come and work with me and work with my team. Caitlin Vneal is my website. You can read the blog. Thank you everyone for tuning in and subscribing, and welcome again. I know a lot of you are new and I appreciate you. Okay. So first, why are we talking about this right now? Well, I woke up the other day and realized that I had fallen into a funk. Now, if you're familiar with the analogy of a frog boiling, if you put a frog in cool room temperature water and then you turn up the heat, by the time it realizes that it's boiling, it is too late and it can't jump out of the pot. And that is how you cook a frog. And I learned recently, I think this is true, tell me in the chat if I'm wrong, but that literally is how you cook a frog. So if you eat frog legs, you got to put the frogs in and then slowly turn up the heat because otherwise they will jump out. I realized for myself that I was a bit like that proverbial frog. I had been falling into a funk slowly but surely, but I wasn't noticing it. I wasn't aware of it because it was happening sort of slowly and over time. So it started because I launched this big group coaching program. Some of you may be familiar with it. It's called High Performance Male. If you want this direction, this one. If you want to apply for it, please do. I launched this bigger coaching program. I took on all of this additional work. I started working on some really, really big projects. And then all of a sudden, I kind of was feeling overwhelmed. I chalked it up to all of that. It happens. Couple months go by, I kind of am figuring it out. I'm making it work. It's like things are on the up and up, but I still don't feel that like glistening. I still don't feel that sort of like joie de vivre, that joy. Probably the thing that you know me for is getting up on camera like I am right now and and sharing with you from a place of excitement and joy and exhilaration, like how I feel about your sex life. Like I'm here to cheer you on, to help you to have the best sex of your life, to act as your coach and your support, and like that fills me up with joy, that makes me want to get out of bed every single day. And I wasn't connected to that joy, and slowly but surely I started to feel like I was that boiling frog, but I wasn't aware of it yet. But I recognized, okay, I'm not feeling very good. All right, let me resituate my work life balance. I know it wasn't because I wasn't exercising, because I was exercising, because I've been doing the quarantine glow up still. I was meditating, I was taking care of myself, doing all the right things. Who here's ever done all the right things, and still felt depressed? Still felt down? Right up in the chat. If you have ever seriously been checking all the boxes, doing all the self care, and yet still felt not great, still went through a dark time, a hard time. So, about a week ago, maybe two, I was hanging out with some really close friends of mine who I absolutely love, really, really adore. And it hit me like a sack of bricks, like it always does. Oh my God, I've fallen into depression. Now, I recognize this because I have dealt with depression in the past, not in the recent past, but when I was coming up, when I was younger, the age of 18, during my mid 20s, during my late 20s, I went through some really dark times. And if anyone on here has ever suffered from like real clinical depression, you know that like it's a unique place. And if you've not been depressed, then that's amazing. I'm so happy for you. I'm sure that you have other struggles. We all have our struggles, right? But if you've ever gone through a period of like real clinical depression, you know that it can be very dark, draining, low energy. It just like nothing feels good, nothing feels motivating. The desire to go and do stuff is just it's just low. So I'm with this new friend and this woman who I'm um, particularly romantically interested in. And I'm looking at her going, I am so interested in you. I have such a big crush on you. I really want to be here with you and for you. Who does this resonate with? You've got a crush on a lady and you're like, wow, I really want to show up for you. I really want to like show you how much I adore you and be totally present with you when we're together. And I want to bring, pardon me, I want to bring my joy to you, and I feel like I can't do it. I feel like I'm not fully here. I feel like there's a piece of me that's just off in the distance, that's just not plugged in. Oh my God, I'm depressed. Oh my God. It took being with another person who is shining a very bright light into my life to realize that my own light has been dimmed. My pot that my frog is swimming in has been turned up. And all of a sudden it was like ding dong, woke up, water is boiling, I'm the frog getting cooked. It does. A lot of people saying it does resonate with you. Thank you. Keep lighting up the chat. I'll take questions in a minute. It was a wake up call for me and it inspired me to take action. And that is one of the reasons that I wanted to come on here tonight, is that maybe this is the wake up call for you. Maybe some of you, it looks like you already know, like you're aware that depression has been a part of your experience recently. And a lot of people on here are writing about their own experiences with their mental health struggles. And I appreciate that. And again, I'll remind you, I'm just sharing my own experience here. I'm not an expert. If you need help, get help. That's exactly what I did. I'll tell you the next part of my story here. Please go get help, seek professional help. If it's an emergency, call a crisis line, National Suicide Prevention Hotline. If it's a non-emergency, but you're aware as we're talking about this, you're like, maybe I am depressed. Look up the symptoms of depression. There's lots of great information on the internet. And remember, these things are like a spectrum. All people feel down sometimes. All people feel a loss of interest, a loss of motivation from time to time. But when that becomes your normal and you start existing in that low place, this could be an indication that you should go get checked out by a clinician, by a licensed healthcare professional, by a therapist, by a psychiatrist, by a psychologist. Go out there and get you some help. It's totally worth it. So, anyways, that's what I did. I recognized, oh my gosh, I'm depressed. Holy mackerel. I got to do something about this. I just kind of switched up my self care routine, switched up my exercise routine to something that was a little bit gentler to me, something that really felt grounded and wholesome and yummy. As I said, I've already rebalanced my work life balance. I brought on a master coach. Her name's Marissa. Many of you met her on a previous live stream. She's amazing. I have an amazing team of people around me. I'm very fortunate in that way. And I went to see a professional as well. I went to see a mental health care provider. I also am fortunate that I already work with a couple of coaches and I have a therapist because you know what it takes to be a coach is you got to have a team of coaches around you. It's not, no man is an island. Hey, is that my Jessie? Hi, Jessie. Welcome. And welcome anyone who's familiar with me or works with me on High Performance Male. Pilates, actually, it's funny. Yes, I did do Pilates. All right, back to the story here. So I went and got some help, and I will say that even just knowing that I'm on top of things, even just knowing that I'd made a move to get the train rolling in the other direction, and like I'm getting the support that I need, even that waking up the next day after recognizing like okay, I've named the problem, I'm starting to work towards the solution, and I'm outing myself for what it's worth. I don't think that we still have the same stories about mental health that we used to, but I will say it's not easy to come out and come on here and tell all you wonderful human beings who have joined me this live stream that I'm dealing with depression. Like, there's a story that a lot of us have, myself included, that is like, oh, there's something wrong with you. You're broken. You're not mentally all put together. There's something imperfect. There's something wrong about you. And that's why I'm saying that it is a spectrum. We all deal with it a little bit. Naming it is sometimes the place that gives us the most power over it. Okay, so that's where we are starting. Now let's talk about you. Enough about me. Let's talk about y'all. And if you are enjoying this, if you like this subject, please give me a thumb up, give me a like, hit like on YouTube and let me know in the chat. So, a couple things about depression. Number one, it's more likely to impact women. The women are more likely to be diagnosed with depression than men. And I fully believe that for a lot of men, it just goes undiagnosed because men are not allowed to be sad, right? Men are allowed to be angry. Men are allowed to be a lot of things. Well, not a lot, a handful of things, really. But men are not really allowed to be sad in our culture, right? Who here has experienced that? Or who here is a man who's ever been sad, who's ever been depressed, but felt like they could not tell anyone because it's not okay for men to be sad. It's not okay for men to be depressed. It's not okay for men to speak about their feelings like this or to have them or to have these needs. Here's the other thing about men and depression. Depression in men is correlated, not always causative, but these things are quite complicated. Depression in men can be correlated with erectile dysfunction, can be cor- can be correlated with premature ejaculation, can be correlated with a drop in libido. And here's the interesting thing about that. That can be true just having depression. All three of those things can happen. Yeah, I'm seeing it. Seeing a lot of people in the chat that this resonates with. Having depression is correlated with those three things, and being treated for depression can also be correlated with those three things: drop in libido, premature ejaculation, erectile dysfunction, and also inability to reach orgasm, which is called delayed ejaculation. So, what's someone to do? It seems like, are you damned if you do, damned if you don't? Well, the good news is that if you fix the root of the problem, which is the depression itself, then you can expect, for most people, a return to whatever is normal, whatever's baseline for you in your desire, in your libido, in your sexual functioning, in your ability to get and maintain an erection, in your ability to hold out and not ejaculate too quickly. And whether or not you're depressed and you have premature ejaculation, that's my kind of area of expertise. So go into the description of this video. I put a link to my course called Come When You Want. Because premature ejaculation, if you had it before you had depression, it's going to come back. But enough about that. The most important thing that I want to share with you is that it is worth it, even if you risk dealing with some nasty side effects of medication while you're treating your depression. It is worth it to get out of your depression. Like, that is number one. And if you're going to deal with low libido because you're depressed, or you're going to deal with low libido because you're on medication or on a treatment for depression, it is better to be getting out of your depression. Does that make sense? Let me know in the chat. Does that make sense? It's better to get treatment because once you get treatment, once you get to a place where you're feeling healthy and you're feeling more like yourself, baseline level higher, more able to see the beauty and the abundance in the world, more able to see and desire the things that you want to do, then you can expect your sexual functioning to return. So if you're feeling this way, do get treated. Do not let the side effects of antidepressant medications or whatever a doctor recommends that you take, don't let the side effects keep you away from getting that treatment, because the treatment is the single most important thing you can do. And I'm not advocating here that all people need medication. Again, I'm not a doctor. I don't fully, my goal for myself is that I don't like to take a lot of medication. I like to avoid prescription drugs as much as possible, and sometimes it's what you need. Hey Joel, I see you in there. Thanks for joining. If that's what you need and that's what's going to work for you to get you out of your funk and help rebalance you and help you to overcome the challenge that you're experiencing, like, heck yes, modern medications are available. They are some of the most powerful tools that have ever existed for human beings ever. And heck yes, I am all about using all of the tools that are available to you. I mean, come on, what kind of a hypocrite would I be? I'd say use all the tools that are available to you to have a great sex life, but somehow not to take care of your mental health. Forget that. Use all the tools that are available to you. It's one of the great pleasures and advantages of being alive in the 21st century. And my goal really is that you, as you're navigating this, you're able to have a great sex life. And that may not look like the sex life that you had that you knew before, but you can still have access to pleasure. You can still have an amazing sex life, an amazing sexual relationship at a minimum with yourself. You don't necessarily need a partner. But let's talk a little bit about partners. And again, if you're liking this, give it a thumbs up, hit that like button. It's very helpful for me. I'm seeing all of your amazing questions in the chat. I promise I will leave time to answer questions. I just want to talk a little bit on if you have a partner who is depressed. Cool. So give it a thumbs up. Let me know that you're enjoying this. And if you've ever had, who here has ever had a partner who dealt with depression or dealt with maybe anxiety or any other mental health challenge? I know that I have. And I know, actually, being someone who's dealt with depression in the past and today, it is difficult to even be a partner to someone, right? Because you're so caught up in what's going on with you and how do I feel better and where did my motivation go? And I just got to make it through the day. It's very hard to just make it through the day and then come home and try to be the best spouse you can be to your loving partner. And then you get sucked into this, or maybe not you, maybe I get sucked into this cycle of like, I feel like a piece of crap because it's taking all my energy to get through my day. Then I'm not very nice to my partner who's doing just his best. And then I feel like even more piece of crap and go around in circles. Does this resonate? I'm not alone here. Thank you, Jesse. I see a lot of thumbs up. I see a lot of, I know I'm not alone. This is part of the cycle. Same is true with the sexual cycle. Like, you could be depressed and then you don't desire sex, and then because you don't desire sex, it causes challenges in your relationship. And then that actually causes you to be more depressed. Or because you've always known yourself as someone who loves sex, someone who desires sex, who here identifies as someone who enjoys sex, and then all of a sudden you don't enjoy it. All of a sudden you don't want it. And then you're like, what, am I a man anymore? Am I still the person who I know myself to be? Who am I? If I don't desire sex, like, who am I? It can be an identity challenge for us. So, whether you are a depressed partner or you have a partner who's dealing with or has dealt with depression, that depression can put an extra weight on top of the relationship. And the weight on the relationship and the negative impacts on the relationship can put an additional weight on us and our mental health struggle. So, my advice for you is to first, and if you're familiar with any of my channel, my videos, you're going to see this coming. What's the first thing going to be? You put it in the chat. What's the first thing to say? Number one, talk about it. Talk about it with your partner. Keep them up to date on what's going on with you and how you are experiencing sex and how you're experiencing your sex drive. It is so much preferable to have the conversation with your partner and let her or him or them know that you're going through this dark time that your relationship to your libido and your relationship to your sexuality has shifted, and keeping them up to date on the situation. Now, this is not about blaming them. This is not about shaming them. This is not about making them the answer or putting it on them to make you feel better. That's not it. The point of sharing with your partner is because keeping them in the dark is not an ethical way of dealing with your challenges. It's just not. It doesn't work. It's not a workable solution, and it's not ethical. It's not a nice thing to do in a relationship. You have got to let them know, because otherwise you may leave your partner, and who here would be this partner? You may leave your partner wondering if it's them. Did they do something? Are you cheating on them? Are you thinking about getting divorced? What is going on in your life that you're not sharing with them? It's just, it is important for you to clue them in. And if for some reason you feel like you can't clue them in, this is a time to maybe call in a third party like a counselor or a coach or a therapist, because having this level of communication with your partner is incredibly important. And if they're not able to support you as you move through your challenges, like, who is? Number two is talk with a professional. Now, if you're doing medications, talk with a doctor. A lot of human beings, people in general, will talk to your doctor about literally everything except for sex. One of my doctor friends calls it like the doorknob question, because somebody will come in and have a whole consultation, and then they're grabbing for the doorknob, and they'll turn around and go, "Oh, by the way, doc, I have no libido, I can't get an erection, and my sex life sucks." And the doctor's like, "Wait, why didn't you bring that up 10 minutes ago when I could help you? Now you're on your way out the door. How I can't help you now?" So if you're one of those people, first of all, no shame. It's okay. Thank you for being here. I'm glad that you're here. Hopefully, this will inspire you to tell your physician, to tell your doctor, "Hey, I'm dealing with this depression. I really appreciate you helping me get this sorted out. It's having a negative impact on my libido. What can be done? It's having a negative impact on my sex life. What can be done?" Maybe they try a different medication. Maybe they tell you to take your medication at a different time of day. Maybe they make some other recommendations to you. But if you don't talk to them about it, you don't have the opportunity to get their professional insight and to get their mind, and like, let them know that this is a priority, and it has to be you that brings it up, because it's not your doctor's job to put your sex life on priority. Okay, it's your job to put your sex life up for priority. Let your doctor know that it is important to you to have a great sex life, to have a great erection, to be able to last as long as you want, to be able to orgasm with your partner, etc., etc., etc. So talk to your partner, talk to your physician, and then talk to a professional that you can actually talk to, like a therapist or a coach. Now, coaches don't deal with depression, but coaches can certainly help you to get your sex life back on track. They can certainly help you to mitigate the negative effects of your depression or of your mental health treatment, of the work that you're doing with your mental health professionals. Coaches can come in to help you then meet those goals that you've set forth and regain the sex life. Or a coach can help you to determine how to still have a pleasurable life, a pleasurable sexual life, even though you're maybe not able to get off. Maybe you're not able to get a orgasm with your partner. Maybe you are suffering from vaginal dryness or an anorgasmia or pain during sex. A coach can help you to figure out how to meet the goal of having a pleasurable sex life still. But talking to a therapist, talking to a counselor, talking to a mental health professional who can help you to deal with and process through your depression, there is still a lot of stigma around this, unfortunately. And now, today, there's tons of amazing apps. You can see a professional online. You can talk to a professional over the phone, over Zoom. It's never been more accessible to talk to a mental health professional. And talking is really important. Processing what's going on is really, really important. Now, I don't believe that you should plan on spending the rest of your life processing. I think that there comes a time to process, and then there's a time where processing actually is like, we're just getting stuck in our head, and we got to move and see what's going on in the body, because the body is what's holding on to some of these emotional states. And I think sometimes mental health care kind of leaves this part out. We get stuck in the phase of analysis, but maybe that's for a separate video. So talk to your partner, talk to your physician, and talk to a professional. And then finally, take good care of yourself. Okay, this is not rocket science, but I'm going to just say it because I need the reminder myself. Get yourself out of bed, make the bed, go on a walk, drink lots of water, drink tea, meditate, take some time to to take a bath, take some time to disconnect from your cell phone, put that thing away, put social media away. Sometimes we talk about self-care, like everyone thinks that self-care is like, I don't know, biscuits and cookies and champagne and baths and brunch. Sure, that can be self care. But what I think about self care, what I like to think about is being a great parent to yourself. Like if you were the best possible parent to you, what would you say to yourself? You'd be like, honey, we've eaten pizza 3 nights this week, and it's probably time for us to eat some vegetables. Or, honey, staying up later and continuing to watch television is probably not going to set us up for a powerful day tomorrow. So let's close the laptop, go to bed, and wake up earlier so that we can get a little walk in with the dog before we go to work. That is self care. Self care is literally taking care of yourself the way that a great parent would. And if you didn't have great parents and they didn't necessarily model that for you, then it might be hard for you to like do that for yourself. My dad also suffered from depression. I don't think he would have necessarily called it that. It certainly wasn't um, diagnosed and not treated the way that I think about my own mental health, but this stuff is genetic. And my dad's version of like self care was, smoke another cigarette and just avoid talking to anybody about it. That's not self care, okay? Self care is actually taking care of yourself. And sometimes taking care of yourself is unpleasant. Sometimes taking care of yourself, I tried. Well, my roommate was supposed to order me a pizza last night and he didn't. So if you're watching this, bro, you owe me a pizza. Sometimes self-care is ordering yourself a pizza though, especially if you are on that like salad kick and you've been like pushing yourself. This was me. I'm pushing myself to meditate. I'm pushing myself to go to the gym. I'm pushing myself. That actually what I needed for self-care was like, honey, put down the weights. Let's do a little soulful yoga and take a bath. How about a glass of wine? Like sometimes self-care is a glass of wine. Self-care is really the art. No two of our self-care is going to be the ideal. Like what your self-care is not necessarily going to be my self-care. The ideal self-care is what really takes care of us and helps us to feel replenished and helps us to keep ourselves and our well-being as a priority. And sometimes self-care is like taking some time to masturbate. Sometimes self-care is really about self-pleasure. Especially if your sex life with your partner may be suffering or your partner doesn't want to have sex. Again, there's a lot more to be said on if your partner has depression. Maybe if your partner is dealing with depression or other mental health challenges, it's them that has the low libido. It's them that doesn't necessarily want to be having sex. So sometimes actually your self-care is spending a copious amount of time pleasuring your body, touching yourself, getting yourself off, making yourself feel wonderful. Okay, that can be self care too. And who here's ever had like a self care orgasm? Like, you're just all geeked up all day. And then as soon as you come and you relax, you get off, you're like, oh, I feel so much better. I know every single one of you has, so you might as well just write it in the chat right now. And if you don't want to write it in the chat, give us a like, give us a thumbs up. And if I saw a couple people write in the chat like that they are masturbating because they feel lonely or because they don't have a partner, I highly recommend that you consider how you can make love to yourself in a meaningful and loving way and make masturbation less about like, it's not about taking your vitamins, right? It's about making yourself a meal. There's a distinction, and we've all had a meal replacement shake or Soylent or Huel or whatever because maybe we're too lazy to cook a meal. I'm not alone on that, right? Sometimes I'm like, I'm not making a whole meal. Let me just like drink this Odwalla shake. All right. There's a version of that where you just crank one out. Let me just get one out here. And then there is, I spent an hour prepping the vegetables, making the sauce, boiling the water, making the pasta. There's that version of feeding yourself. Masturbation is the same. You can get the Huel, the Odwalla, the meal replacement, the muscle milk, whatever it is that you do, the protein bar. There's the protein bar version. And then there's the luxurious wine and dine, Chris. Yep, you got it right. Then there's the wine and dine myself. Pick out the perfect ingredients, stop by the market, set the table. You know which kind of masturbation sounds better. I do. I So that can be your self-care too. So talk with a partner, talk with a physician, talk with a professional, and take good care of yourself. Now, I feel like we didn't necessarily dive as far into how to have a relationship with a depressed person, and how to like be a depressed person in the relationship. So if you have any questions specifically on that, let's just start there. I'd love to take any questions that you have there. Some things that I think are incredibly important on this is not taking responsibility. That's where we see codependency happen in relationships. Yeah, Jesse, yeah, try HPM in the house. If you want to know what I mean by that, wait over there. Apply. Apply to work with me. If you have a depressed partner or you are a depressed partner, it's very important that we not take responsibility for each other's depression or each other's mental health. Okay. If you want more details on that, I highly recommend that you look up attachment styles and just familiarize yourself. There's some great videos on attachment styles. There's some great videos on codependency, but without getting really into the weeds of these like larger core concepts, it's very easy to look at our partner and say, "You made me feel this type of way. You make me feel like crap. You make me feel sad. You make me feel fill in the blank." I'm going to tell you something right now. Nobody can make you feel anything. Your partner does not make you feel anything. You feel things. Your partner may trigger those feelings, but it's you. Your partner doesn't climb up into your brain and start pulling the sadness lever. True? And vice versa. You can't get into your partner's head and start pulling the levers either. All right. So, taking responsibility for our own mental state, taking responsibility for our own mental health. Now, they can take responsibility for stuff around the house. My husband knows that when I get depressed, when I feel down, I'm probably not going to take as good care of the house as I would otherwise like to. And instead of coming at me and going, "You didn't clean up the dishes earlier today after you cooked breakfast," like this, which is not going to help anyone. It's not going to help me feel any better. It's certainly not going to help me do the dishes next time. This is part of the communication. Hey, babe, I know that you're going through a tough time with it, but can you get the dishes from the kitchen the next time that you make breakfast? Little things like that. Communicating, and having a conversation about what feels good sexually, so that you can still have a pleasurable sexual experience. Okay, here we go. I'm going to read some comments. Yeah, man. Oh, yes, we have. Okay, no nut November, no nut November, no nut November make you depressed. You know what? That's a great question. And I did a video on semen retention and NoFap, and it's not a yes no answer. When you first stop using porn, or when you first stop masturbating on a regular basis, you may go through a what feels like a depression, because the rush of neurotransmitters that you get when you watch porn is like the rush when you pull the slot on a slot machine, when you pull the lever on a slot machine. There's a rush of chemicals there. So if you've quit porn or you've quit masturbating, you can go through a sort of slump because your brain is not having the same rush of chemicals as it was when you were using porn and masturbating. So, yes, in the short term, it can cause a little bit of a slump, but in the long term, I can guarantee you that not masturbating to porn for extended periods of time, and I'm putting porn in there especially because, again, that's porn's like the protein bar. We're talking about like the I've grilled my own steak version. When you get to the I grilled my own steak version of masturbation, you'll actually feel better than you did when you were relying on porn for that boost, because the boost is temporary. Let's see what else. My girlfriend is depressed. I can't get her interested in sex. I suffer a lot. I'm highly sexual. We sleep naked. I'm aroused. Can I get her interested? She said she will be okay. Okay, my heart goes out to you, because this is a super common situation. Someone else just said, my wife won't make an effort to initiate or reciprocate despite every effort to communicate with no blame or anger. So this is a fine line, especially because I don't know more about either of your situations, but I can at least say this. If she's not already seeking help from a professional, encourage her to do so. Let her know that you care about her, you're concerned for her, and that you want her to feel good. You want her to feel like herself. Certainly explain to her from a like loving, compassionate, not blaming, shaming way how important sex is for you. What does sex do for you? How does sex make you feel? What does sex give you in the relationship? Can you share that with her to say, hey, sex makes me feel super connected, loved, safe. Like, those are really important for me. I'd really like to have a regular sexual relationship with you. And then get creative about how you can make that happen. So for you, you might be like, I get into bed naked and I get really aroused and I just want to initiate sex. But maybe she needs you to initiate sex 2 or 3 hours before you get into bed, or on Saturdays when she doesn't have to wake up the next morning, or Friday nights. Maybe those are the best times to initiate sex. Maybe she actually wants to have sex, but she is a little bit reluctant. And so you talk to her about ways that she can turn herself on so that she can feel desirous. And that way, when you come in, she is actually turned on and she wants to have sex. And then you can start foreplay. Then you can start to stimulate her. I did see a therapist. I already had a therapist. I just added a psychiatrist. And yes, I do feel better. What do we got? And of course, if your wife won't initiate sex, again, it's about letting her know what her initiating means to you, why it's important to you, and then again, talking to her about like why doesn't she initiate? What's the challenge there? Well, is there some reason that she's not initiating? Maybe she learned from an early age that women are not supposed to want sex or act like they want sex, and if you let your man know that you want sex, you're a dirty slut. Like, it's not, it might sound a little bit far off. It is not. What else have we got? All right, I'm opening up to any questions that you have. And if you're again, if you enjoyed this live stream, give me a thumbs up on YouTube. We've got 150 likes right now, 200 people on the live stream. We can totally do this. Let's get those up. It really helps. Really, really helps. Elise is here. Hi, Elise. Oh my God, it's like I'm hanging out with my friends. Oh, I love it. Yeah, also in long-term relationships, there tends to be a drop off in female partners initiating sex. So just know you don't have to take it personally. You're not alone. It's very, very common. Women require a lot of novelty in order to get to a place where they really desire sex. And so give her novelty, make sure that she's super pleased, but also understand that there's this concept of responsive desire versus spontaneous desire. And to put them very, very simply, spontaneous desire is I feel desire and then I feel turned on. So I desire sex and then I'm aroused and then I have sex. Responsive desire is I get aroused and then I desire sex. Okay. So it's not that she doesn't want to have sex often, and it's not that she's not initiating. Like, guys, you often think about it from your perspective. Like, you think that she's not initiating, but she's like you, so she must want sex all the time, but then she doesn't initiate, which means, like, I don't know, that she is neglectful, not giving you what you need. But the truth is women are not less hairy men. So you can't imagine that women are just like you but with, less hair on their bodies. That's not the case. Women often need to start to feel aroused before they desire sex. She needs to actually be stimulated, start stimulating, start physically, making out, foreplay, the things that get her to a place of arousal before she desires sex, before sex sounds like a good idea for her. So for you, you might wake up, you might look over, you might just see her body naked underneath the sheets, and you're like, damn, sex sounds like a great idea. For her, she rolls over, she sees your body, she goes, oh, hey, person who I love, great to see you. And then you start touching her, and she's like, I don't think I want to have sex because the desire is not there. But then when she gets aroused, then she desires it, and then sex can happen. That was the shortest, quickest explanation I could possibly give you on the distinction between responsive and spontaneous desire. Oh, you guys are so sweet. Don't worry about me. I'm great. I have a whole team of people, professionals, and I'm a coach. I run my own company. I get to live the life of my dreams. I have no complaints. But I hope that also lets you know that it doesn't matter if you have a great job that you love, or a spouse that you love, or live somewhere that you love, or take great care of yourself. You can work out, you can eat well, you can eat organic food and hike all the time and still end up suffering with depression, low energy states, low motivation, mood challenges, mental health challenges, okay? You can have every privilege in the world. I'm such a privileged human being, got a functioning body, white skin, grew up in a loving household, and I still end up with depression. It is not a correlation between so many of the factors that make you who you are as a human being. And, I hope that this is an invitation to remember that every person who you meet is going through the biggest struggle of their life. Every single person has a story that could break your heart, bring you to your knees, and even even those among us who really look like we've got it all, we've got it all together, can still go through really dark, really challenging times. And if that's you, know that you are not alone and it's not your fault. Like I said, I didn't do anything that um it wasn't like I was not taking care of myself. I was taking care of myself, and this still happened. Someone said I missed their question. I apologize. The chat happens really fast. I can't read it and think at the same time, and so I try to keep as many questions as I can. Please feel free to repeat your question if I miss it. And we're gonna wrap up here in a minute. I'm gonna invite you. Wait, can we get it? No, this direction. Yes. Boom. It's like we're gonna get there. We're getting there and we're getting closer to it all the time. If you are interested in working with me, my team, joining our amazing men's coaching group called High Performance Male, which is about so much of the areas that we covered tonight. We talk attachment styles, we talk communication, we talk boundaries, we talk about low desire, we talk about initiating sex and relationships, we talk about long-term relationships well-being. Oh my God. Oh, so many other things that we talk about. And what's most important is that we have this amazing group of men that come together to support each other. You've got me, you've got Marissa. We are the space creators, the container holders. We are professional, like, compassion keepers and secret keepers. And we love all of the guys, many of whom are on tonight. Thank you, gentlemen, for showing up. You are the fucking best. Love you so much. If you're interested, if you want in on that group, that community, oh, I had it once. There we go. Right there, caitlinbneal.com/apply. If you want to work with me one on one, I do take one on one clients still, like just a couple. Because I'm working on some really big stuff that I cannot wait to share with you. It's gonna blow your mind, especially if you've been around here for a while. You're gonna see, woo, Caitlin B just got, um, what am I gonna say here? I can't share that many of the details because the contracts are not all signed, but just put it this way, you're gonna see me um, on a different screen. Leave it at that. If you want to be on my email list so that you know what the fuck I'm talking about when I say you're going to find me on the different screen, or what this big announcement that I will hopefully be making soon is, make sure that you either do apply for coaching, put you on the email list if you apply for coaching, or get the free guide. There's a link in the description for my 3 techniques that are guaranteed to bring her closer to orgasming during penetration, if that's something that you're interested in. And I swear to you, you haven't seen these techniques. You will love them. They're great. And you can get on the email list and you'll get notified like 10 minutes in advance. Sorry. When I feel like doing a live stream. All right. If you enjoyed this, oh my God, we're one like away from 200. Give me just one more thumbs up. Who's going to be the 200th person to give me a like on this video? You guys rock. I love you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please don't be ashamed. Go get the help you need. Talk to the professionals. How are we still not there yet? Give it. Go talk to a professional. Go get the support that you need. There we go. We got the likes. All right. I love you guys. Have an excellent evening. Take good care of yourselves. Enjoy your holidays. And we'll come back live again here soon. Good night. Bye.